Raja Ram Mohan Roy is known as the first modern man of Asia. Even prior to Raja Ram Mohan Roy, there were reformers. There was Guru Nanak, who preached the idea of universalism. There was Kabir, who promoted the idea of social equality. There were Peshwas, who wanted to bring about social reforms. So it wasn't that Raja Ram Mohan Roy was the only one who promoted the ideas of universalism, humanism. But then why is it that Raja Ram Mohan Roy was termed as modern, while his predecessors still belonged to the medieval age? In order to understand this, we need to understand what is modern, what is modernity, what is modernism. So, if we talk about modern as a set of ideas, it means a set of ideas that is based upon an optimistic view of the future. Modernity is based upon the principle of rationality, rationalism. A conservative set of ideas tends to rely upon a text or a standardized text that are written in the past. For example, what is right, what is wrong, if this is to be deciphered, if this is to be realized on the basis of an ancient text or ancient set of rules, laws, then this set of idea is called conservative. When ideas of what ought to be done is generally based upon religion, then that set of idea is conservative. Compared to that, rationality involves an individual's usage of his own logic, his own set of values, understanding, logic, reason, and determining the right and wrong. So rather than relying upon an external authority, reason relies more upon a person's innate ability to think, realize, and come to the desired conclusion. Whereas conservatism would involve a deeper and deeper understanding of the ancient text or an ancient logic, an ancient set of principles laid down. Modernity involves use of rationality and reason so as to come to a logic. Conservatism aims at upholding certain tenets as it is, as intact. For example, the ancient Indian terminologies of dharma. Dharma stood for dhri. Dhri means to uphold. So dharma is till the time the ancient system is upheld. It is not distorted. That's called as dharma. Varna, shram, dharma. So that is conservatism. Modernity is when the change is accepted, adapted, and accordingly there is evolution. So that is the basis of rationality. Second aspect of modernity is universalism. Modernity is based upon the central premise of universalism. That means a law is applicable to all. There is a universal law. For example, Newton gave three laws of physics. Now these are universal laws. So scientific philosophy, it is based upon universal ideas. So any idea, principle or philosophy or law has a universal acceptance. So modernism and modernity is also universal in character, and modernity is also based upon humanism. Humanism means an endeavor to secure a better life for human. During the medieval time, if a human being was not well, if a human being was sick, it was believed that that sickness is a divine ordain. That sickness is an act of divinity. So it must not be interfered with. So the person must be allowed to suffer, because any form of interference would mean an interference with the divinity. But now there was medical science. Previously, there was a belief that every man and his fate is predetermined. It is on the basis of heaven, hell, or extra natural forces that a person determines his fate. But under humanism, a man becomes architect of his own destiny. An individual is able to reform his fate, have a better future with his own effort. So modernity as a principle, as an idea, as a philosophy, is based upon rationality, that is reason, logic, universalism, and humanism. These set of ideas are together understood as modern ideas. The modernity or modern as a term had its own evolution. So it was in 15th and 16th century that there was Renaissance in Europe. Following the bubonic plague in Europe in the 13th century and subsequent urbanization that started taking place, because when the population declined, there were more goods available for the masses to feed or to consume. So the standard of living gradually rose. 14th and 15th century, there developed urban centers, especially in the southern Italy. These prosperous urban centers had sufficient means at their disposal to learn new ideas. So in the 15th century in Europe, there emerged a spirit of relearning the ancient past. In fact, for the first time, the Europeans, they started learning about ancient Greece. They read about Plato, Socrates. They read more and more about Greek thinkers, their world, their ideas, their thoughts. They understood the world better. Various texts were translated during the Renaissance period. So we had the printing press coming into existence. All the testaments, they were translated from Latin to the regional languages so ordinary people they could read. In fact, a person could explain the religious texts, the ancient past, in the language which the masses understood. And Renaissance, it stimulated certain forces in the 16th century, and these forces, it led to reforms in the religion. It called for reforms in the religion, such as Protestantism, which we called as Reformation. And the forces stimulated by both of these, Renaissance and Reformation, contributed to the 17th century Enlightenment. This Enlightenment and its ideas were in the form of rationalism, universalism, and humanism, which gave birth to modernity or modernism. So by the 18th century, we had modern ideas spreading all across Europe. But these ideas, which spread in 18th century Europe, would come to India in the 19th century, along with the advent of British rules, along with advent of Europeans, along with advent of Western learning. So let us understand in great detail what were the ideas of Raja Ram Mohan Roy and why is he revered to as the first modern man. The word Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So Ram Mohan was born into a prosperous family. The Brahmins, the gentry, the land-owning caste. His grandfather, Krishnadas Banerjee, Krishna Chandra Banerjee, he was given the title of Ray Ryan by the Nawab of Bengal. And that's how Ram Mohan got the title Roy. After his grandfather, his father used the title Roy. So Ram Mohan also used the title Roy. And Raja will be a title that would be given to Ram Mohan Roy in 1830 by the Mughal Emperor Akbar II, when Raja Ram Mohan Roy would go to England to contest for a case for him. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy was born in 1772 in Burdwan into a prosperous family. Right from his childhood, Raja Ram Mohan Roy displayed traits of a genius. Even at the age of 15, he started speculating about religion. He talked about monotheism. In fact, at a very young age, Raja Ram Mohan Roy had mastered more than a dozen languages. He knew English, French, Latin, Hebrew, Arabic, Persian, along with Sanskrit. He knew Bengali, so he knew about a dozen languages. And he was an encyclopedia in himself. He knew all about Islam, he knew about Hinduism, he knew about Christianity, he knew about Jews. Almost all religions in the world, their ideas, their philosophy had been mastered by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy learnt Sanskrit and Hindu philosophy in depth in Banaras. He learnt about Vedanta, he learnt about Darshan Shastra, and then he learnt about Arabic, Islam in Patna. So altogether, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was a learned man. We already know that Raja Ram Mohan Roy belonged to a time period when the Britishers, they had occupied political power in Bengal. 1780s, Warren Hastings along with Sir William Jones, in pursuit of Orientalist philosophy, ideology, they had started translating Indian scriptures. So we can say that there was some form of renaissance that India was witnessing in by the last quarter of 18th century. But then this renaissance would be different. One would be a renaissance by the English in the Orientalist manner, which was distorted in order to suit the colonial need. And other would be the renaissance that would usher under Indian intelligentsia such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So while the Britishers were translating ancient Indian texts such as Manu Smriti, Abhijnan Shakuntalam, Bhagavad Gita, Hitopadesha, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he would also be translating ancient Indian texts into Persian. So he would translate all the Upanishad, he would translate all the Vedic texts into Persian language. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he ushered in a spirit of Renaissance, Bengal Renaissance in the 19th century. It was in 1804 that Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he wrote his famous Tawfat ul Muwahideen. It means a gift to monotheist. Tawfat means Tofa, Muwahideen means monotheism. In 1804, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he wrote this text claiming that even the Indian Upanishad, they talked about monotheism, that is a universal God. Raja Ram Mohan Roy had always been condemning idol worship. Raja Ram Mohan Roy did not believe that the idol kept in the temple was God or was having magical powers or was the means to salvation. Raja Ram Mohan Roy condemned idol worship. He condemned priestcraft. He upheld monotheism, that there is a universal God. And he claimed that this universalism also formed the basis of Upanishadic philosophy. So his earliest text, Tawfatul Muwahideen, is very important expression of his ideas. It was written in Persian. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was working with the East India Company from 1803 till 1830. During this time period, he was continuously going through the ancient texts, translating them, having a deeper and greater understanding about Smritis, Shastras, Vedas, their philosophies. So while a spirit of Renaissance was ushering in India, we see that the Charter Act of 1813, it introduced or it allowed the Christian missionaries to preach Christianity in India. Now there was a vehement attack upon Hindu religion, its beliefs, its practices by the Christian missionaries, with the purpose to proselytize Indians. Over here, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, rather than imbibing the West, rather than westernizing his ideas, showed or displayed a blend of East and West. Raja Ram Mohan Roy vehemently opposed the criticism of Hindu religion by the Christian missionaries. He defended the Hindu religion. Raja Ram Mohan Roy had criticized various customs, beliefs in the Hindu religion, such as idol worship, such as Sati, such as priestcraft, such as polytheism. But he also questioned the Trinity, the concept of Trinity of the Christians. But in his attack to Christianity, he was not prejudicial. He wrote Percept of Jesus. That was based upon philosophical understanding of the New Testament. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he refused to accept Jesus Christ as Son of God or a divine entity or his resurrection. But he was ready to accept his ideas, his philosophy, his message to the world, which he mentioned in Percept of Jesus. Christian missionaries offered Raja Ram Mohan Roy to convert into Christianity. Raja Ram Mohan Roy refused. In 1814, Raja Ram Mohan Roy formed Atmiya Sabha. Atmiya Sabha as an organization aimed at blending Renaissance and Reformation. This Sabha was some form of an organization of like-minded, enlightened individuals who understood the Hindu religion to its entirety. They condemned caste discrimination. They condemned idol worship. They condemned priestcraft. They condemned all forms of derogatory practices against women. They also upheld universalism, rationalism, and humanism. So Atmiya Sabha as an organization founded by Raja Ram Mohan Roy can be considered as one of the earliest organizations to bring about socio-religious reforms in India. Raja Ram Mohan Roy had left the East India Company, which he had joined in 1803 up till 1813, and now he was full-fledgedly involved into his mission for socio-religious reforms. He started a journal named as Sambad Kaumudi. Sambad Kaumudi was a journal in Bengali. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy started this journal, Sambad Kaumudi, in order to have his ideas shared with the people of Calcutta. And over a period of time, Raja Ram Mohan Roy came to support Western education in India. When the General Committee of Public Instruction was formed, Raja Ram Mohan Roy wanted Western education, sciences, literature to be introduced in India, because he was committed to the idea of rationality. He supported David Hare, who formed the Hindu College. He himself was involved in the development, in the establishment of Girls' College in Calcutta and its peripheral area. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy aimed at spreading Western ideas, Western education, sciences, philosophy. He also wanted the state to intervene to do away with derogatory practices such as abolition of Sati. In 1829, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was able to convince Lord William Bentinck to abolish Sati in India. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, as a humanist, believed that all forms of derogatory practices against women such as polygamy, sati, concubinage, they must be done away with. He believed in gender equality. He criticized caste discrimination. He condemned slavery. So as a humanist, Raja Ram Mohan Roy also wanted the state, the British state, to come out with progressive legislations, bring about socio-religious reforms. 1830, Mughal Emperor Akbar II had sent Raja Ram Mohan Roy to England to contest a case with respect to his pensions. And there in England in 1833, Raja Ram Mohan Roy died. But before he died in 1829, he had established Brahmo Samaj. Brahmo Samaj was to become the earliest institution for religious reforms in India. Raja Ram Mohan Roy and his ideas had finally institutionalized in the form of Brahmo Samaj founded in 1829, but it was his disciple Debendranath Tagore who would bring about a development and expansion of Brahmo